Do you know what the real difference is between a man who is truly interested in you and one who is just entertaining you? After years of observing and listening to the stories of many women who have gone through divorces, painful breakups and new beginnings, I have identified 5 signs that never lie when it comes to recognizing that a man is not serious about you. And most importantly, these signs are based on his actions, not his words. If you are already in that phase of life where you value your time and emotional energy, this video will be very eye-opening for you. Because one thing is clear, we no longer have time to waste on men who don't know what they want or who are playing a double game. The first sign you need to recognize is when he communicates only lukewarmly and sporadically. I will be very specific here because this is a trap many women fall into, especially when they re-enter the dating world after a long relationship. This type of man shows up from time to time, usually via text message or WhatsApp, with those generic lines we all know. "Hi, just wanted to see how you're doing," or "How was your day?" At first, this might seem sweet or attentive, but in reality, here's what is happening. He is keeping the contact at a minimum, just so he doesn't lose you completely. But he isn't really investing in getting to know you genuinely. And here is the crucial point. The communication doesn't progress. It stays superficial. There are no deeper conversations, no calls, no video calls. If you suggest talking on the phone, he will probably say that he doesn't like talking on the phone or prefers texting. That is an excuse. And you, with your experience in relationships, can recognize an excuse immediately. A man who is truly interested wants to hear your voice. He will find ways to deepen the connection. He will genuinely care about your day, not just out of politeness. He will remember things you've told him and follow up on them. But many women don't understand this. If you accept this lukewarm communication pattern, you are showing him that it is okay to treat you superficially. And believe me, if he was serious, he wouldn't be satisfied with occasional small talk every few days. The second sign you should never ignore: he is still attached to his ex. And here I will be very direct, because I have seen too many wonderful women break because of this, women who deserved better. If he still keeps in touch with his ex without a clear and justified reason, that tells you everything you need to know about his emotional availability. If they have children together, it is natural and necessary to stay in contact. That is responsibility and maturity. But if there are no children involved and he is still regularly texting her, making small talk or keeping up with her life, then he has not closed that chapter. Even more painful is when he distances himself from you because he thinks he is protecting you from potential pain if he decides to go back to her. This is one of the cruelest excuses because it means he has not decided what he wants. And in the meantime, you are stuck in an emotional waiting room. You need to understand one thing clearly. You do not need to compare or compete with any ex. If a man is unsure whether he wants to be with you or with his ex, that is neither fair to you, nor is it the kind of energy you need in your life. You, who may have gone through a divorce or a deep breakup yourself, know how valuable your heart and your time are. A man who is ready for a real relationship will close the doors to the past completely. He will not leave you in a situation where you feel like second choice or have to fight for attention. The third sign is when he keeps cancelling on you. And this is something that many mature women tolerate out of fear. Fear of seeming too demanding or of losing him. He makes plans with you but then cancels at the last minute with excuses like, "I couldn't finish work, let's reschedule," or "Something came up with family, I'll let you know when I can." The first time, you give him the benefit of the doubt because you know life can be unpredictable. The second time, you already feel uneasy, but you still give him another chance. But here's what you need to know. If this happens constantly, it is not a streak of bad luck, it is a sign of lack of respect for your time, and a clear indication that you are not a priority for him. What's even worse, if you passively accept these last-minute cancellations, he interprets that as a green light to keep doing it, with no consequences. You, with all your life experience, know how valuable your free time is. You might coordinate your calendar, adjust to your children, cancel other plans, or simply reserve time just for him. And he treats that as something trivial. A man who is serious respects your plans together. If he truly has to cancel because of a real emergency, he will sincerely apologize and immediately suggest a specific new date. He will not leave you hanging with a vague, "we'll talk later." If he cancels twice in a row without really trying to set a new date with a specific day and time, then he is not genuinely interested in investing in your connection. The fourth sign you need to recognize is you don't exist for his family. And this is particularly telling. A man who can see a serious future with you will want to integrate you into his life, not just when it suits him. A man who is not serious, never talks about his family, never introduces you to anyone important, and consciously avoids any situation where your worlds could merge. You won't be invited to family gatherings, not to meet friends, and if someone from his circle does show up, he will introduce you vaguely and without context. What is really happening is this: he does not want to build emotional bonds between you and the people close to him because he does not plan to keep you in his life permanently. It is easier for him to keep the relationship in a bubble he can control without giving you too much access to his real life. Of course, there are legitimate exceptions. If his family situation is difficult, for example, sick parents or serious family conflicts, it is understandable that he might want to protect you from that burden at first. But a mature man who is truly interested will explain the situation to you, not just exclude you in silence. Time is also an important factor. If you have been together for weeks or even months, and you are still a secret to the people in his life, that tells you everything you need to know about his intentions. Think about it this way. When you are excited about a new connection, when you feel that something special is developing, you want to share it. You want your close friends to know about it. You might even mention it to your family, because happiness naturally wants to be shared. A man who seriously wants to build something with you will feel exactly the same. He will want the people who matter to him to meet you, because you are a source of joy in his life. The fifth and final sign is perhaps the most subtle, but also the clearest. He keeps his heart completely closed. After weeks or even months of dating, he doesn't share real feelings, he shows no vulnerability, he doesn't talk about fears, dreams, or things that truly matter to him. All conversations remain on the surface about work, the weather, TV shows, maybe even sexual experiences, but never about the things that make up his true inner world. He doesn't talk about insecurities, he doesn't share meaningful stories from his past, and he never lets you see his complex or imperfect sides. For mature women, this is particularly frustrating because you know that real relationships are built on trust, vulnerability, and honest emotional exchange. You have experienced enough to know that physical attraction and superficial harmony are not enough to sustain a relationship in the long run. A man who is emotionally available and wants a serious relationship will gradually open up. He will confide his worries to you, seek your advice on important life matters, and show you his imperfect sides as well, because he knows you will respond with compassion. But if a man keeps all conversations on safe, superficial ground, it is a sign that he doesn't want to build emotional intimacy, because he knows that such closeness would lead to a deeper bond. And that is exactly what he is avoiding, by never letting you truly see who he really is. And now comes what I want you to truly understand about all these signs. These are not character flaws that you can fix with enough patience, understanding, or love. These are conscious decisions he is making, decisions about how much he is willing to invest in your connection. And this is where many women, especially those who have been through painful divorces or breakups, make a crucial mistake. They try to convince themselves that they can change the situation by being better, more understanding, more attractive, or more available. Listen to me carefully. It is not your job to convince a man that you are worthy. Your worth is not up for debate. If he does not recognize how extraordinary you are, if he is not willing to put in the effort that you deserve, then that is his lack, not yours. It is incredibly liberating to accept this truth. When you recognize these signs for what they are, clear indicators that he is not ready for what you want, you can make decisions from your inner strength, not from desperate hope. I have seen too many great women lose themselves in situations where they invested 100% of their emotional energy into men who maybe gave back 30% at best. Women who had so much to give, who had worked on themselves, who had overcome their own challenges, and who deserved to be fully appreciated. The problem is, when you are in the middle of the situation, especially if you feel a strong connection to him, it is very hard to see these signs objectively. Your heart wants to believe that everything will change, that he will realize how special you are, that he just needs a bit more time. But here is the reality. A man who truly wants to be with you will not leave you in uncertainty. You will not constantly have to guess what he feels or what his intentions are. His interest will show through consistent actions. He will respond to your messages promptly because he enjoys talking to you. He will make plans and keep them because he values his time with you. He will gradually include you in his life because he wants you to be part of it. And he will open up to you emotionally because he wants you to truly know him. These are not unrealistic expectations. These are the basic standards for a healthy relationship between two mature adults who genuinely care about each other. I know it can be painful to realize that you are in a situation where he is not as invested as you are, especially if you have already developed deep feelings or have been hoping for a long time that things will change. But think about it this way. Every day you spend in a connection that does not give you what you truly want and deserve is a lost day in which you could have met a man who wants to offer you real love and true commitment. And you who have already experienced so much, perhaps raised children, overcome professional and personal challenges, you know how quickly time passes. You know how precious it is to find a true connection with someone. Why should you settle for less than what your heart desires? There are men out there, mature, emotionally available men, who are looking for exactly what you have to give. Men who will appreciate your experience, your wisdom, your strength, and everything that makes you unique. But you will not be open to recognizing and receiving this kind of love if you are still trapped in a situation that is draining you emotionally. So what should you do if you recognize all these signs in your current situation? First, allow yourself to feel any disappointment or sadness that comes up. It is human to feel sad when you realize that something you hoped for is not turning out the way you wanted. But don't stay stuck in these feelings. Use them as fuel to make decisions that align with what you truly want in your life. If he is lukewarm in his communication, stop being the only one who initiates conversations. Observe what happens when you no longer take full responsibility for maintaining the contact. If he is truly interested, he will notice the difference and will put in more effort to strengthen the connection in a more consistent and genuine way. If he is still entangled in his past with his ex, then have an open conversation about where the two of you stand. Don't approach him accusingly, but make it clear that you need to know if he is emotionally available to build something serious with you. His answer will tell you everything you need to know. If he keeps cancelling on you, then set natural consequences. Next time he cancels plans, do not accept vague statements like, "We'll see later." Tell him, "When you're ready to make concrete plans, let me know. Until then, I'll make my own plans." If he doesn't include you in his broader life, address it directly. It is completely okay to say, "I've noticed that our relationship feels very separate from the rest of your life. I'm wondering if this is just temporary or if you want to keep it that way intentionally." And if he remains emotionally closed off, then show the type of vulnerability you wish to receive. Share something personal about yourself and observe how he reacts. If he does not respond with his own openness or feels uncomfortable with your vulnerability, that clearly shows he is not ready to give you the emotional closeness you seek. But here comes the most important part. Do not make it your project to change his behavior. You are not his therapist, not his relationship coach, not his mentor for personal growth. You are a great woman who deserves to be loved and appreciated exactly as you are. If he does not change after honest and clear communication, you have all the information you need to decide whether this relationship serves your emotional well-being. Remember, walking away from a situation that does not nourish you is not giving up. It is an act of self-love and respect for your own worth. It means recognizing that you deserve more than what he is currently giving or able to give you. Yes, it can be scary. The thought of starting over, especially when you feel like your options decrease with age, can be discouraging. But the reality is, there are many mature and valuable men out there who are looking for exactly what you have to offer: experience, wisdom, emotional maturity, and the ability to love deeply and authentically. The key is to not settle for less just because you are afraid of being alone. Temporary loneliness is still better than being in a relationship where you mostly feel alone. If you value yourself enough to set the standard you desire, you will automatically attract men who are on the same level of emotional maturity. So my final advice to you is this: trust your intuition. If something feels wrong, it probably is. If you constantly have to wonder where you stand with him, if you have to analyze every message, if you have to make excuses for his behavior in front of others, then you already have your answer. You deserve a love that is clear, consistent, and generous. You deserve a man who is proud to be with you, who includes you in his life, who communicates openly and honestly with you, and who invests in your relationship just as much as you do. This is not too much to ask. This is not unrealistic. This is exactly what happens when two emotionally mature adults meet and consciously choose to build something together. Trust in your worth, respect your time, and do not be afraid to move on if what you have does not match what you deserve. Do not settle for breadcrumbs of attention when you are worth an entire feast of love and devotion. And finally, I want to address something I observe over and over again. Many mature women, especially those who have gone through long or difficult relationships, develop what I call the over-gratitude syndrome. What does this mean? It means that after all the pain, arguments, and struggles, they meet a man who is simply decent. He doesn't yell, he isn't aggressive, he has a stable job. And suddenly they feel so grateful for this normality that they start lowering all their other standards. So, if he communicates only lukewarmly, you might tell yourself, at least he's not controlling like my ex. If he cancels plans, you think, well, at least he's not cheating on me. If he doesn't include you in his family life, you rationalize, at least he treats me with basic respect. But here is the problem. You are comparing downwards instead of upwards. You take your worst experiences from the past as a minimum standard, when you should actually take your dreams and legitimate desires as your goal. Just because a man is not violent, manipulative, or completely irresponsible does not automatically make him a good partner. These are basic requirements for human decency, not extraordinary qualities for which you should feel eternally grateful. You, who have lived, who may have raised children alone or rebuilt your life after a severe loss, you have so much more to offer than to simply feel grateful that a man gives you the absolute minimum effort. Now, I want to talk about something that is often overlooked but crucial: the difference between a man who is truly busy and one who simply does not prioritize you. A truly busy man will communicate his situation to you. He will say, "This week is crazy at work, but I'm thinking of you, and on Friday I have time to talk to you properly." He keeps you updated because he doesn't want you to interpret his temporary absence as disinterest. A man who does not prioritize you disappears without explanation and shows up when it suits him, and expects you to be emotionally available as if nothing happened. The difference lies in active communication and the effort to maintain the connection even under challenging circumstances. I also want to address something that is especially relevant for women your age: the societal or family pressure not to be too picky, or the idea that men our age all come with baggage. Perhaps you have friends who mean well and say, "At least he doesn't still live with his mother," or "All the good men our age are already taken," or "At our age, you can't expect Hollywood romance." These statements, however well-intentioned they may be, can be incredibly damaging. They program you to settle for less. They make you feel like having high standards is unrealistic or selfish. But here is the truth you need to hear. Having standards does not make you difficult or dissatisfied. It makes you someone who values herself enough not to settle for half measures. Yes, we all come with experiences, emotional scars, past stories. That is part of being human. But there is a huge difference between a man who has processed his past and one who uses it as an excuse not to commit today. An emotionally mature man acknowledges his emotional baggage, but he does not let it dictate how he acts in the present. He works on himself because he truly wants to be present with you. Now we need to talk about something crucial, the difference between patience and excessive tolerance. Patience means giving the relationship time to develop organically with respect for both sides' pace. Tolerance means accepting behaviors that fundamentally violate your needs and self-worth. It is patience to give a shy man time to open up. It is tolerance to accept that even after months, he shares nothing personal. It is patience to understand that he wants to go slowly after a divorce. It is tolerance if he permanently uses his divorce as an excuse to show no effort at all. It is patience to accept that he will introduce you to his family after some time. It is tolerance to accept that after half a year, you are still a complete secret. Patience has limits and is based on visible progress. Tolerance has no limits and is based on hope without evidence. And I want you to consider this as well. Very often, when a mature woman finds herself in a situation where she is giving significantly more than she is receiving, there is a part of her that finds this pattern familiar. Perhaps in your previous marriage or past relationships, you took on the role of the one who gives the most, tries the hardest, makes the biggest sacrifices. If this applies to you, it is important to realize that repeating these patterns will not lead to a different result. It does not matter how much you have grown or how much you have learned about yourself. If you continue choosing men who expect you to do all the emotional work, you will end up feeling drained and unappreciated again. Sometimes the most important personal growth is not about giving more or giving better, but about learning to receive what you deserve and to reject what does not serve you. This can be especially challenging if you spent many years in a marriage where you gradually got used to being treated with less attention, less romance, less consideration. If you spent years adapting to someone else's lack of effort, it can feel strange or even uncomfortable when someone new also shows little effort, just in a different way. But here is what I want to tell you. Just because you tolerated certain behaviors in the past does not mean you have to tolerate them in the future. Every new relationship is an opportunity to set new standards based on who you are today and what you have learned about yourself. It is also important to recognize that sometimes we unconsciously feel more comfortable with men who are not really emotionally available because there is less risk for our own hearts. If he is not fully invested, then you also don't have to fully open your heart. But this seemingly safe comfort zone comes at a high price. It takes away your chance to experience a deep, genuine connection. A mature, healthy, and real love requires vulnerability from both sides. It requires emotional risk, but also offers rewards you will never get if you stay in half-hearted, safe, but unfulfilling situations. I want you to think about the relationships you know that truly work, whether with friends, family members, or couples around you. What do they have in common? You will probably realize that both partners are equally invested, treat each other with respect, make an effort for each other, and have created a space where both can be authentic. These relationships did not come about because one person had to convince the other that they were worthy. They came about because two emotionally available people met and decided to build something together. And that is exactly what you deserve. Not a watered-down version of it, not a compromise that almost looks like it, but exactly that. If you recognize the 5 signs we talked about, lukewarm communication, attachment to the ex, constant cancelling of plans, excluding you from his family life, and a closed heart, then do not see them as weaknesses you need to fix in him. See them as valuable information that helps you make wise decisions about where to invest your time and emotional energy, because at the end of the day, that is what it's all about, using your emotional resources wisely. Your time, your energy, your ability to love, your optimism about relationships, all these are precious resources that should be used with care. If you invest these resources in a man who is not willing or able to reciprocate on the same level, you not only rob yourself of the possibility of the relationship you truly want, but you also drain yourself emotionally in a way that can prevent you from recognizing and accepting true love when it comes your way. So honor your experience, trust your intuition, and never be afraid to prioritize your own emotional well-being over the comfort of a familiar but unfulfilling situation. You have so much love to give, but you also deserve to receive it in equal measure. Do not settle for less, because there are wonderful men out there who are looking for exactly what you embody, a mature, wise woman who is capable of loving deeply and honestly.